What if your biggest dream was actually a carefully constructed trap? Imagine wanting to be famous more than anything, only to find out that very dream was a prison. Well, in 2009 in Turkey, this wasn't just a scary thought. It was the terrifying reality for 9 young women in a story that absolutely blurs the line between ambition and a horrifying deception.
So, to really get to the heart of this, we're not going to start at the beginning. No, we're going to jump right into the deep end, to the most shocking moment when the camera stopped rolling and the awful truth was finally dragged into the light.
At the center of it all, 9 young women. They came from all over Turkey, different backgrounds, different lives, but they all shared that one powerful dream. You know the one. They just wanted to be stars. But here's the thing. When this whole story broke, they weren't found on some glamorous TV set. They weren't in a studio. They were found held captive inside a beautiful, luxurious villa, completely sealed off from the rest of the world.
And this is where it gets truly insane. For 2 solid months, these women genuinely believed they were the stars of a smash hit reality show. They thought they were being broadcast live to the entire country. The truth? Oh, it was so much worse. There was no show. There was no audience. And those cameras weren't for broadcasting fame. They were for something much, much darker.
Okay, so you have to be wondering, right? How on earth does something like this even happen? How do you pull off such a massive, elaborate hoax? Well, to figure that out, we have to rewind. Let's go all the way back to the beginning and see how this great fame illusion was built, piece by painful piece.
It all started with an offer that was basically impossible to refuse. An invitation to audition for a brand new, high-profile reality show, a Turkish version of the global phenomenon Big Brother. I mean, for anyone dreaming of being famous, this wasn't just an opportunity, it was the golden ticket.
And the crazy part is how incredibly legitimate it all seemed. This wasn't some sketchy back alley deal. No, we're talking professional interviews, official-looking contracts they had to sign, and they were brought to this villa that was perfectly set up, filled with cameras, just like a real TV set. There was absolutely no reason to think anything was wrong.
So, they walked into that villa just bursting with hope, thinking, this is it, my life is about to change forever. And it did. But not in the way they imagined, because the second those doors closed, that dream house, it became a psychological prison, hidden in plain sight right behind the camera lens.
Let's just break this down for a second. The promise versus the reality. They were sold this dream of national fame, a live TV broadcast with millions of adoring fans, but the truth was absolutely brutal. There was no broadcast at all. The cameras were just there for spying. They were in total, complete isolation.
And the red flags started popping up almost immediately, but they were cleverly disguised as the rules of the game. First thing, all phones were confiscated. Then any and all contact with family, friends, the entire outside world, strictly forbidden. They were told it was just standard procedure, to keep the show authentic. In reality, it was the first step in sealing their prison shut.
And then came the big lie. The one that was repeated to them over and over. The lie that controlled their every single action. You are now on live air and all of Turkey is watching you. They performed, they fought, they cried, they lived their lives for an audience that simply didn't exist. It was the psychological masterstroke that kept the whole hoax going.
This deception went on for 2 long months. It starts with all that excitement on day 1. By the end of the first week, they're completely cut off. For an entire month, they're living inside this lie. But then, as the second month drags on, a crack starts to appear. One of the women, risking everything, manages to get a secret distress message out to her family.
And that one single, desperate message was the catalyst. It set everything in motion, leading to the climax of the story. A police raid that didn't just free the women, it sent a massive shockwave across the entire country.
And what the police discovered was almost unbelievable. See, this wasn't some rogue production company or a big criminal organization. The entire elaborate deception, the casting, the fake contracts, the villa, the constant mind games, it was all the work of one man. A single professional con man whose real motives are still kind of murky to this day. So, acting on that family's tip, police raided the villa, and in an instant, the whole illusion just shattered. The women finally learned the truth. There was no show, there was no audience, and their 2 months of fame had been a complete and utter fabrication.
In the aftermath, this story was everywhere in Turkey, and it forced a really difficult conversation. It raised some profound questions.
The first, and maybe the biggest, was this. How can something as pure as a dream be packaged and sold as a trap?
It also brought up this whole idea of exploitation. The promise of being on TV, of being part of this artistic production, it was all just bait. It made people ask, how often are innocent people lured into really dangerous situations in the name of art or entertainment?
And maybe the most personal question was the psychological one. This whole story taps into that universal desire for recognition we all have, and it forces you to wonder, why is the offer of fame so blinding? Why can it make us totally ignore our own gut feelings, our own intuition?
Ultimately, this bizarre and tragic story isn't just a weird headline from the past. It serves as this powerful, modern-day cautionary tale, with a final, chilling lesson about the world we live in right now.
We're talking about the fame trap. It's a very specific kind of manipulation. It's when that deep desire for public recognition is twisted and used as a tool to exploit people, completely blurring that line between a real opportunity and the dangerous deception.
This story is just a stark reminder that fame isn't always some guiding light. Sometimes it's just the bait. It's the cheese in the mousetrap, with a whole lot of darkness hiding right behind it, waiting to snap shut. And that leaves us with one final thought. In our age of social media, reality TV, and the constant broadcasting of our own lives, this story from 2009 is maybe more relevant than it's ever been. It forces us to ask, what is the true price of fame? And when we put ourselves in front of a camera, who is really watching?